About a year ago, I stumbled across this research project called the Agent Company. It's based out of Carnegie Mellon University, and it was mind-blowing. It just visionary. It was the first time I really saw it, like the whole AI agent orchestration trying to be pulled off, and it failed. I mean, the results were poor, but I felt like this is where everything is heading. This is what people want, but it was done with the AI agents first and running this whole virtual software company where each role here is a different AI agent. So, some of the pitfalls of this research project right here, deceiving oneself, it took a fake shortcut and renamed a user. That's how it got around this problem where it couldn't find a person that it needed to talk to. Some of the other things that were kind of interesting is this whole simulated conversation right here about a budget negotiation. That this stuff doesn't really happen in enterprise software development. There's forms and systems in place to handle all this stuff. And getting back to the original idea, I noticed that the simulated colleagues it just didn't have like all of the job positions I would consider in like a normal software company. All right, the actual experiment here. Okay, so the goal was just to pick any software project. We actually had like 30 different ideas. We started a few, kind of ended with this one, latest iteration. The idea, just create a YouTube channel with daily chess puzzle videos. There's a reason that I picked this in particular. As you can see, it's working and we'll go through it. Um, so yeah, here we go. I think the the more the most important thing is I just kind of realized that not everybody knows about scaled agile framework, even a lot of programmers. This is where I typically sit. I'm usually on the bottom corner, and then Javier would be up here. So another way to look at this is this crazy flowchart process map that Javier created. It's got some really interesting stuff in here that is related to automation, not just AI, but also just traditional software development. And to make a long story short, this was a very long process to build this out. And then the next step after this would be creating all of the documentation and artifacts is another word for saying like, what is the outcome from each of these processes?
Awesome. So, yeah, Aaron, let me show you what I did yesterday. So, initially, this says PM operating system. It's initially focused on product management. However, there are a set of skills and then a bunch of, I would say, this actually has the capability to act as a program/product management tool, in which what I have is I'm using Visual Code. I'm running Claude Code in my Visual Code IDE, and I develop, I think it's around 41 skills and 70 workflows for customer journey mapping, daily plans, ticket creation, uh, problem statement, formulation, value, proposition, uh, in the grand scheme of things from the product management side of the approach on all the minimum artifacts. One of the things that happens with LLMs is that it spits out a result, but then people don't know exactly if that's what they are looking for, if it's right or wrong. With this, we will be able to say, okay, this is the result. Is this actually what we were looking for?
We are using that process map to generate a bunch of documentation. And then with those artifacts and documentation, Ian, our expert in AI, was helping us condense all that down because there's this like context window where if you have too much, it's not going to be able to understand all of it. Okay, Dr. Miller, expert of intelligence, artificial and human, and probably other animals too. But we used him and his brain to come up with a strategy for building out a set of instructions, a document. You could call it prompt engineering. It's more complex than that, but essentially we wanted to have the same sort of specs waterfall approach, I guess. Just the design boiled down into a condensed version that can work with both local LLMs that can run on my Mac back here or on the cloud with ChatGPT 5.5, Opus 4.6, 4.7, hopefully Mythos when I get access to that, etc.
For the neural net to be able to do math with it, it has to be represented as a matrix. And so this embedding layer, the net effect of it is that something kind of fuzzy, some domain like text or images, the fuzzy thing goes into the embedding model, and what comes out of it is the embedding's representation of whatever that thing was that went into it. And in this way, you could relate or you could represent similar ideas in images and in words.
Okay, let's get to the fun stuff. We've been talking a lot about design, blah, 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 blah. I could show you the code bases, but I think it's just more illustrative just to show you what the outputs were from each different model. Okay, let's go. First up is GitHub Copilot, GPT 5.3 Codex. This one was interesting. It took 10 minutes to create. And by that, it generated all the code that would then make this chess puzzle and do it on a daily basis. 10 minutes is pretty fast, in my opinion. There were a couple of immediate problems. Oh man, it's hard to even explain like how weird and complicated it can be for an AI to just kind of make assumptions that humans just know intuitively. So the puzzle, 4 seconds is too long for you to be able to think about it and then answer the solution. In addition, it had the board flipped upside down. This was a puzzle for black to go first. And so this is an interesting problem. It's a UI problem where I can see why it would start with a white pieces and be oriented for that, because typically that's how I guess the training would be. And this came up a lot. Claude Opus, another one that was kind of interesting. You can see it bouncing back and forth. Another UI problem and weird text issues. The descriptions were kind of weird. I feel like the timing is better on this one. You can see like the yellow kind of moving, indicating what the next move is. Interesting design choice. None of this was spelled out. So this is like all the models thinking for themselves in many ways. Let's see what's up with this one. I am having trouble reading the text, honestly, but I'll present some more documentation. You can see the whole results and everything here. But again, some interesting design choices. Let's see what we got here. Oh, this was the first one that actually did the board the correct way. The orientation should have been flipped. So now you can see that you're looking at it from Black's perspective here. And the timing is better since it's not moving yet. It gives you time to think about the puzzle. It took it. You can see it's not doing the yellow highlight. And so different UI decision there, or graphic design. Okay, and let's see what we got next. Yeah, so important thing to call out here is it's pulling from Lichess, which is a free open source community. I highly recommend you check it out and support them if you have money. Or programming skills, it's open source. So what we did is we're pulling it from their API. They have a daily chess puzzle. It's public, it's open, it's free. And so it called out on the top title that it's a Lichess daily puzzle. And you can see the design is pretty weird here. The pieces are not centered and looks like, the pieces are, I don't know where it got these like images, is it drawing it? And that's the thing, is I have to go through the code and inspect it if this was for any real project that I cared about. Another design choice, king, pawn, rook, queen. Okay, this part, the pieces look terrible, but I do like this part right here, this kind of user interface and user experience where it goes through and it highlights each move as it's going through the solution line. However, it's a chess puzzle and you're supposed to think without knowing the solution first. So this should probably be hidden until the timer runs out. And GPT 5.5 was released as I was running this experiment, and I just kind of like rushed to test it out. I was kind of blown away. It was very fast at creating a working solution without iterating, only 3 minutes, but you can see the text is weird. It's kind of scrunched up. It's saying weird things. It does have the labels A through H, 1 through 8 correct. It did the whole puzzle logically correct. I just think that it wasn't the best looking design out of all of them. And yeah, here you can see this one down here is actually what we ended up using. I will give more details about all of that. But the key insights here is sometimes the smaller instructions are better. There was one, it was GPT 5.3 Codex, where including a README along with the instructions actually made it worse, which I thought was wild because the README was just look at the instructions. But it didn't want to overwrite the README, so it kind of screwed up the whole building out the entire repo. If you are going to be spending time like this is a real project, I feel like there are 2 points that are really critical for developers, which is the planning stage and also looking at the tests first. So if you're doing test-driven development, make sure the tests that they're testing for, the acceptance criteria and all that stuff, is not placeholders, because it tends to do things like put placeholders in there and kind of just do whatever it can to do the bare minimum. Yeah, graphic design, UX, user experience, user interface, that kind of stuff, it definitely needs humans to look at. The iteration times, this is an interesting problem. It's a totally different form of like project management, I guess. I feel bad for people like Javier, where if a run happens, like GPT 5.4 extended thinking ran for like 25 minutes and then it crashed and I had to start over. It probably took like 4 or 5 iterations at a bare minimum. So if you're talking about like a half an hour and something breaks and you have to do it again, doing it 4 or 5 times, that adds up to hours. It's just crazy. And then just trying to review all the code that it generates. It's just, oh my gosh. So yeah, the security issues that I found were more for milestone 2, which is where you would really need a human to get some of this stuff done, unless you're, I don't know, much more risk. I don't even know how to phrase this, but I think it's a bad idea to do things like letting an autonomous AI agent create API keys for you and sign up for YouTube and creating, things that are linked to bank accounts and that stuff without some sort of human review. But I'm going to discuss a whole video on just all sorts of AI security risks. But for now, yeah, I think that's about it. And I would love to hear your feedback. If you're working with AI in building software, then please reach out to us.